Now what?
Social glue.
Next steps.
We must participate in the activity of gratitude.
CAG is one of my new favorite gratitude tools.
This activity creates the George Bailey effect.
In fact, CAG is key.
He began to recognize all the things that he had overlooked in his life to be grateful for.
Hey there, I'm Reverend Dan. We are Soul Evolution Collaborative, an innovative bricks and clicks spiritual community dedicated to personal transformation and communal evolution. And this is Truth Be Told 2.0, a weekly series bringing you inspiring and uplifting messages and new ways to look at the world. So welcome. This is episode 105. Hard to believe. The time has gone so fast. So we are just about at the end of our series on gratitude. And I think it would only be natural for you to be sitting there thinking something like, well, okay, but now what? There's been so much information shared about gratitude this month, what it is, how it works, and even why it works. Well, this episode is all about the how and the why. How does gratitude play out on the bigger picture? And why is it important, not just for us as individuals, but for all of us as well? So let's get sticky with gratitude as the social glue in this episode. Do I do the whole thing over because I said episode? In this episode of Truth Be Told 2.0.
This month on gratitude with a continued focus on understanding both its individual and communal impact. Gratitude and its practices become the social glue that encourages the development, strengthening, and maintaining of social bonds and relationships. But in order to activate those benefits and impacts, we must participate in the activity of gratitude, not just as a practice, but a fluid and evolving activity, allowing it to influence our thoughts, our words, our very action in the world. So how can we activate gratitude? And I think the answer to this question is as unique as there are many different ways to activate gratitude in our life. Some may resonate with you, some may not, and that is totally okay. The task is to find what works for you and begin to activate the transformative effects of gratitude. So here's some few ways that we may do this in our lives. First off is the ever popular Count Your Blessings activity, or better known as the Gratitude Journal. Now, if journaling is your thing, then this just may be the activity or gratitude practice for you. This practice is as simple as writing down the things that you're grateful for. It can serve to begin to shift your focus past the world of circumstances and effects and really fix your attention on the activity of gratitude within your own life. It's a way to begin to shift your thoughts and attitudes, and which has a ripple effect in your life and possibly the lives of everyone you come in contact with. Another way to sink into a space of gratitude is the activity called 3 Good Things. If this full-on journaling is not your thing, then simply sitting down and writing 3 good things in your life. And if you want to take this even further, look at the origins of those 3 good things in your life. This leads to a layered gratitude effect as we recognize individuals, situations, circumstances in our own lives that have led to these 3 good things. Another variation on the Count Your Blessings activity is a practice called mental subtraction. Now, this practice involves you in imagining what your life would be without those things that you're grateful for, or that you have previously included in gratitude journals or things of that nature. Now, engaging in this activity creates the George Bailey effect. Now, you remember George Bailey from that famous film, It's a Wonderful Life. When he had an increased awareness of how his life would be without certain things, he began to recognize all the things that he had overlooked in his life to be grateful for. And lastly, another activity is gratitude letters and visits. Now, yes, I know this seems really strange in our world of the digital age and fast-paced world, but simple expressions of gratitude given in a personal way to someone can serve to support and build these social bonds and relationships. And this activation then fuels the idea that we've talked about this whole month, upstream reciprocity. Our activation of gratitude impacts how we show up, which impacts how someone else shows up, and so on and so on. And pretty soon, our one movement towards the direction of gratitude has become a catalyst for change in a world that we never thought possible. So find what works for you and begin to participate in the activity of gratitude. If you haven't heard, our Thursday night event, The Gathering, is stellar. This is where folks come together, share their own personal life experiences, and have the opportunity to show up in new and authentic ways. So if this sounds like your jam, join us on Thursdays at 7 Eastern. You can sign up by flying over to our website, soulevolutioncollaborative.org, and the fun that we have is out of this world.
I am a big fan of the question, now what? I am an even bigger fan of next steps, the answers to now what. And I have a little bit of an answer for anyone out there who is asking right now. Now what? Okay, are you ready? Here's the answer. CAG. In fact, CAG is key. CAG is key. Now, what in the world is CAG, you may ask? Well, CAG is one of my new favorite gratitude tools, and it stands for curiosity, authenticity, and gratitude. And these three words are the key to mending and maintaining relationships of all kinds. And I love those two words too, mending and maintaining. So, let's get into it. Curiosity sounds like a simple word. And it is, but it is also a powerful word far beyond what we have given it credit for. Rather than jumping to conclusions or thinking that we definitely know what is what, curiosity is this state of mind that keeps us asking genuine questions, being open to not knowing, to maybe not having the answer, or being open to a different perspective than our own. This keeps us approachable. It keeps us learning. It keeps our experience from becoming cemented into just one way of being. Authenticity, perhaps a slightly more elusive word in a sense, is a way of being that encourages us to show up just as we are. Now, this one can seem tricky at times because we have to ask ourselves with honesty, how is it that I'm trying to show up right now, right here? And when we're able to be our authentic self, that which is in alignment with our capital T truth, then our thoughts change, our whole vibe changes, the feeling around us changes, and conversation completely shifts. Authenticity creates space for a healthy way of being, and it relates, this honesty that really most people are just not used to yet. And so finally, gratitude. We have been talking about gratitude for this entire series, so we know that there is a lot of nuance and detail to gratitude, but the simple version is that gratitude is the social glue that keeps us caring. And so when we mix all three of these ingredients and we kind of start stirring them around a little bit, we begin to see that we are well on our way to making a compassion and empathy pie. And honestly, who doesn't love dessert, right? So CAG is not just these three words, but it's actually the activity that inspires us. Remembering CAG is to bring our curiosity into our experience with others, into conversations, right? When we watch the news, when we're at the Thanksgiving dinner table, when we're in a beef with a friend, staying curious can momentarily bring us out of the pain of expectation and unmet needs and into I wonder. And wonder makes room for authenticity. Now we're not speaking, acting, or engaging from a space of pain, but from a space that is just what is showing up for me right now. And I'd love to know what's showing up for you right now. This is a whole different space. So this way, in this way, the pain or the unmet needs that can often show up as anger or ignoring someone or lashing out, it has this healthy outlet to express without throwing up these walls of safety and protection that block, right? And so now comes the payoff. When we engage in this way, in this new-ish way, in this way that may be new to you, is the CAG way, right? There is this space for gratitude. Maybe we're grateful for this new way of working through an issue with someone else. Maybe we're grateful for the friend who's willing to go to this space with us. Maybe we're just grateful for our own willingness to try. But whatever we are grateful for in the moment, it sets into motion our natural feel-good biological chemical response that makes us feel like this was even a good idea. And so CAG is key to creating the compassion and empathy that is needed for mending and maintaining healthy relationships of all kinds, for caring about one another, for learning and growth, for creating a society that even meets our very human needs. Reminding ourselves as often as we can to be curious, authentic, and grateful creates the empathy and compassion for worldview shifting change that our world needs. Gratitude as social glue. It honestly sounds kind of sticky.
I never saw gratitude this way. Or maybe, no, I'm just going to say, I was going to say maybe I did, but didn't realize it. But, well, no. I've just never, this topic of gratitude, the layered things that we've discovered this month about how gratitude really is this, is foundational for a lot of the things that you wouldn't even think. I mean, sustaining, developing, supporting, maintaining relationships, how gratitude shifts our perspective and then how we show up, and then how that influences other people by receiving how we show up.
Yeah.
And then that is a catalyst for them to show up. And it really becomes, upstream reciprocity, which has been the concept of the month, I think.
Yes.
The new concept that I've
sure.
learned, that it really is like gratitude has this transformative effect. And of course, I think we knew that like individually, how it kind of transforms how we see things, how we approach the world, our attitudes, our thoughts, perceptions, things like that. But actually, gratitude has this transformative social impact, which I think is we've uncovered. I think this, and hopefully, we have become a catalyst for more exploration of the things that we have uncovered this month.
Gratitude was such a simple thing before this month. I mean, really, it's there's so much nuance.
Yeah.
In like the best way. At least that's what I like. That's what I'm feeling about it. Like what we've uncovered this month, this like, everything from it being in our DNA. It's a biological thing that has evolved over I don't know, thousands of years. The idea that it is our human nature, like it feels right, but it's always like felt right. But I don't think I ever would have attached gratitude to that feeling. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, oh yeah, well we should be able to rely on each other. We need each other. We can, you know what I mean? Like there's this whole thing, and the fact that we've developed like mindsets and even systems and ideologies in our society that are like, no, you don't need anybody. You're supposed to be able to go do the whole thing on your own. And
not so much.
And if you rely on anybody, it's weakness, right? Like there's just like this, and how ingrained that has become in our society. And it's like, oh, that's so opposing our own genetic makeup, like literally.
Well, and even in the language of a lot of the research that we've talked about, there was a lot of language around activating gratitude. So, to activate means there's something already present that is there, and activate means then bringing that which is already there alive.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of language around this idea of activating gratitude, which just supports what you're talking about, that this is like impressed on the very blueprint of who we are. Not only, I mean, on all levels,
Yeah.
physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, socially, like it is impressed on who we are. And so, I think sometimes gratitude practices kind of get a like, oh yeah, gratitude practices, or this is time of the year we do our
Yeah.
gratitude practices.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
I've even had a little eye roll at some of the gratitude journal sort of things, like, oh geez, yeah, I know, gratitude journal, but
Yeah.
it's interesting that there's so many different things that can activate that what that's within us. And so, the adventure is finding those things that activate that within you.
Yeah.
And when you feel it, it's not, I don't know, it's something that I can put a word to, but when you engage in something and it activates that feeling of gratitude, or that experience of gratitude, which I think
Mm-hmm.
it goes beyond just a feeling. It's this experience of
Yeah.
gratitude. And I think understanding, we don't have to find gratitude or seek it out,
Mm.
that it is already there.
Yeah.
And so I think that that's why a lot of these, when we talk about gratitude practices, I think that's the importance. It's not doing something so that we can find gratitude. It's not doing something so that we can be more grateful. We kind of get in that doing, oh, I've got to do
Right.
something different, or I'm not doing it right. But it is more of stepping into the being. And I think a lot of those activities and practices get us closer and closer back to that remembering of the blueprint.
What what's fascinating for me this month was just widening my perception of what gratitude even is.
Yeah.
I didn't have to like change much, but thinking about the things that I've been doing, or thinking about the way I've been thinking,
Mm,
like thinking differently about the way I've been thinking.
right.
All like the net of gratitude is massive now, and thinking about it differently, all of a sudden, like, oh, that is gratitude.
Yeah.
Oh, thinking that way is gratitude. Oh, that's great. Oh, wow, yeah, I feel really grateful. And so just recognizing
Yeah.
the acts, like, oh yeah, holding the door for somebody walking out of the store, oh, that is gratitude.
Yeah.
Maybe simple, right? um just recognizing like somebody doing something for me is like, oh, right, like, even though I'm not saying the word grateful, this is still gratitude. Even though this doesn't
Yeah.
kick in that huge chemical rush, this is still gratitude. And like the whole spectrum is like, oh wow, all of these things are gratitude, and they all have this, like, they just need to be recognized. Like literally it was just uncovering, like, oh, that's all gratitude.
Well, and
Huh.
then we recognize, I think, from that perspective, then we recognize that we're living in it. We're swimming in gratitude all the
Yeah.
time. And then
Yeah.
I think that just speaks to back to what we talk about a lot about wholeness, that it's everything. You know,
Right.
wholeness is everything, not just the things that we love, but everything. And
Yeah.
so same sort of, I think gratitude takes on the same sort of flavor
Mm-hmm.
in that respect, that, oh, the things, there's some things we can easily identify or have been like hallmarked, identified as
Yeah.
gratitude.
Yeah.
But I think that when we recognize, when we begin to expand our, like you say, expand our awareness of what gratitude is, we realize, oh, I am already like um having these experiences. And so then it becomes the recognition, which
Yeah.
really kind of like links, is the missing link
Yeah.
sometimes, is
Yeah.
the recognition
Yeah.
and the awareness. And I think that's probably true for most things, especially when we're talking about spirituality. I think recognition and awareness become the missing link of a lot of things, so
Right.
that we're not seeking, searching, trying to find, trying to get better, trying to get more of. It's the awareness that, oh yeah, that's already here.
Yeah.
And then the awareness becomes that link. And then when we can link up that, then it really activates us to see how those experiences show up in ways that we may have overlooked. The
Yeah.
George Bailey effect. I like that. And I started thinking about it too. And that's not necessarily, there's some things that we can be grateful for that are things that we probably rather would not have happened in the moment. And we can have some gratitude. I mean, there are things in my life that I in
Mm.
the moment had were like, I have no idea why this is happening, but then be able to look back with different
Yeah.
eyes and see how that experience shaped other experiences, and then have gratitude. It's kind of like the after effect, right?
Yeah.
Like gratitude as an after effect. And then it
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
brings things
Yeah.
full circle. So
Mhm.
it really is that kind of George Bailey effect.
Yeah. Right. Right. It's the other thing I am noticing is that this past month we were simultaneously putting together a workshop on empathy.
Yeah.
Right. And empathy is kind of a I mean, I know it's a topic you and I discuss a lot, and it's one that we feel is really important. And I think it's one we talk about often enough in our spaces here, that empathy is like, I don't know, to me, it's kind of felt like it's that thing that's been missing in a lot of social places. It's
Oh,
been
yeah.
missing in society in general, perhaps. And what has been fascinating this month is realizing that, in reading up and studying gratitude, I remember there was this moment where I was like, this starts to sound a whole lot like compassion.
Yeah.
This
I remember
starts to
that a
sound a
lot.
whole lot like empathy.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. And it's like, yeah, gratitude is like the foundation for being able to be empathetic, to have empathy, right? Like, and it's like, it almost doesn't sound like it makes sense, because you're like, how could you be grateful and be with someone while they're being so, like, how can you be grateful for being sad? Or I don't know, like, it didn't quite, but it's like, oh wait, it really is like this whole, I express gratitude, or I activate gratitude, and these feel good chemicals course through my body, and I go, oh, that's cool, let's do that again. And in doing that, I'm also expressing the thing that, the person next to me is biologically wired to be looking for, in determining, like, oh, is this somebody I can trust? Is this somebody I want to be around? Is this somebody I feel safe with?
Yeah.
Oh, they happen to be expressing the exact right thing that makes me feel like, oh yeah, I can trust this person. Like, when, I mean, authentically, right?
Right.
Um, and what happens is, like, the evolution of our gratitude, as far as I understand it, actually gave us the tools to understand complex emotions. It gave us the tools to understand people's motivations. It gave us the tools to understand why somebody did something that they did, right? So it's giving, like, gratitude is literally like step one of understanding much more complex human activity, the things, like the relational things that happen between us. And so, yeah, it's like, oh yeah, gratitude is, CAG is key.
Yeah, it's key.
CAG is
It,
key. It's like CAG is the launch pad for these deeper, closer relationships.
Well, and even in the research, it talked about how the article that we talked about coming out of UC Berkeley, the science of gratitude, which kind of did an overview of a lot of the research on this very topic, which is new and emerging. That gratitude is linked with the development and enhancement of so many other virtues, or that
Yeah,
we see as
yeah.
virtues. So it really is, like you said. I mean, and so
Mm,
it's not out of the realm of possibility how, when we were developing this empathy workshop, where it kind of came to you, this curiosity, authenticity, gratitude, like they're all kind of linked, and how that
yes,
supports empathy, which is perspective taking, staying out of judgment, recognizing emotion in someone, and then being able to communicate that emotion and say, you know what, I see that emotion and I can connect with you because I have experienced that in my own
yeah,
uh, experience. And so, yeah, gratitude is like, it is like instrumental in just the coordinating of all of that. And then
yeah,
the coordination of all of that is what supports not only us individually and how we show up and operate in the world, but how we collectively begin to take care of one another,
yeah,
and have compassion for one another, and how that care and compassion then begins to shift and transform how we show up collectively, as a global community, and begin to do what I think that we talk about a lot is begin to relearn, come back to
Yeah.
that care for one another and that creating of spaces of safety and belonging.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you for tuning in to this episode 105, the culmination of our series on gratitude. And wow, there's been so much this month. And takeaway for me is gratitude is so much more than I ever realized it. There's so much more of it around. It is abundant, and we can practice it easily and regularly. And it literally is the key to changing possibly everything. Can I say literally and possibly in the same sentence? I don't know. I just did. We'll see. But thanks for tuning in. We would love to see you at any or all of the Soul Evolution collaborative activities. And so if you're looking for a deeper dive on this topic, join us on Thursdays for the gathering, 7 p.m. Eastern. Information on our website, soulevolutioncollaborative.org. We'll also have our second Sunday experience, which is Sunday evenings at 7 p.m. Eastern, and that is a communal gathering of sorts where we kind of just engage in this communal practice and getting kind of just being on the same page, or attempting to be on the same page with our thoughts and our spiritual practice in a way that echoes out into the world around us. So jump in wherever you can, wherever you want, if this calls to you. Otherwise, we will see you next week for another episode of Truth Be Told 2.0.